from a football perspective?
I feel like the Dallas Cowboys have positioned themselves to win the Micah Parsons trade. And I think that's one of the things that you point to. Quinnen Williams was one of the big acquisitions with the capital that Jerry Jones got when he dealt Michael on the eve of last season. He traded for Quinnen Williams at the deadline when the Jets had a fire sale, and you saw that Dallas Cowboys defense took a leap in terms of improvement. And so I think they see him as a foundational piece, a building block for what Christian Parker, their new defensive coordinator, wants to do. They got a lot.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, it's great to be a defensive tackle.
Clearly.
We're seeing these deals explode, right? We just saw Jalen Carter set the market. We saw Jeffrey Simmons get a market-level deal. I mean, it's great to be a defensive tackle right now.
No question. $30+ million for 4 of the defensive tackles.
Let's go.
Jalen Carter, Quinnen Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, Chris Jones, respectively there.
I was born in the wrong decade.
What would you get today?
I don't know.
You don't like thinking about it?
A lot more than that Giants contract.
And that was a good contract.
And that was a great contract.
Yeah. So are the Cowboys now, like, functional? I can't even say it. Like, do you feel like the Cowboys are well run from a football perspective?
I feel like the Dallas Cowboys have positioned themselves to win the Micah Parsons trade. And I think that's one of the things that you point to. Quinnen Williams was one of the big acquisitions with the capital that Jerry Jones got when he dealt Michael on the eve of last season. He traded for Quinnen Williams at the deadline when the Jets had a fire sale, and you saw that Dallas Cowboys defense took a leap in terms of improvement. And so I think they see him as a foundational piece, a building block for what Christian Parker, their new defensive coordinator, wants to do. They got a lot more big bodies up front, which is philosophically a shift from what the Dallas Cowboys have been for the better part of the 2020s. And so when you have a player like Quinnen Williams that can be as disruptive in the run game and the pass game as he does, it makes life easier for everybody on that unit.
When we look at the Cowboys, you say they won the Micah trade. Okay?
Yes.
Stephen Jones spoke to The Athletic, the president, owner of the team, as well as Jerry, of course. This is what he said about the Quinnen Williams deal. Quote, he's a great player and one of the hardest practicing guys out there. Every time he lines up, you feel him. He doesn't take anything for granted. He doesn't say, hey, I got this. I'll let my play do the talking. You see it. He's the best player on the field whenever he's out there. The other thing is just what a man he is. He's a leader. We didn't have a lot of leadership on defense for the last couple of years. To have him and Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary, I think they really picked it up over there in terms of culture and the leadership. And that is per The Athletic, John Makata, who covers the Dallas Cowboys. There's a one line in there that's big. We didn't have a lot of leadership over the last few years. Let's be clear on something. The initial reaction I saw, including from our very own Cam Pratt, producer, when this deal was given to Quinnen Williams as well, they could have given this to Micah if they worked early on this. Let's be very clear. It is clear based on actions, not words, actions. The Dallas Cowboys did not want Micah Parsons on their team.
And you have to ask why. Because Micah Parsons led the NFL in pressures, and he missed, the final month of the season? Why didn't the Dallas Cowboys want him? And I think a big part of it is Micah Parsons creating headlines that his teammates and people within the organization have to answer for through his podcast. And that's one of the things that we talked about with Micah. When they give you the money at that level, it's not just about your production on the field. It's what you do in the locker room. It's what you do in the community. And I'm not going to sit here and cast aspersions on Micah and paint him as a bad guy. But Micah has ambitions beyond football. He wants to be in the sports and entertainment space as a voice. And sometimes that can lead you down the road of saying things that can be controversial. When you look at Quinnen Williams, what has he said that has been controversial? The most controversial thing that the guy has done, besides some other legal issues that he had early on in his career, the most controversial thing that we remember about Quinnen Williams was when he sneezed and said, God bless you and thank you.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
That's the most controversial thing that he said.
Because when you just brought that up, I'm like, I can't think of anything about Quinnen Williams.
That's the most controversial thing he's ever said.
He blessed himself.
He blessed himself.
Which he did yesterday,
and then the Dallas Cowboys blessed him with a contract.
He blessed himself $31 million older.
But my point is this.
On the guarantee.
The leadership and the voice of Quinnen Williams is heard throughout the organization and in the locker room and not many other places. And I think that's the way that Jerry Jones prefers to operate. And we see that now that he's endorsed Quinnen with his contract.
Yeah, they didn't want the who with Micah. They wanted the what in terms of the on-field production.
No doubt.
But like that was the whole thing, and we said it to your point at the time. When you're looking at these big money deals that the Cowboys are operating under and doing it intelligently, right? The George Pickens deal I thought was great in terms of, hey, we still don't know if we're going to get year-over-year production. We're going to go year by year with you. If you don't like it, you're going to have to leave after the year. Fine, whatever. I think it's a smart deal. Going out there and getting Quinnen Williams.
But here, and I'm glad you brought up George Pickens. I don't want you to gloss over it. It's a great point. The fact that George Pickens' agent, and the organization were able to get on the same page early in the offseason as to not create more headlines, more of a controversy, I think that speaks volumes about both parties, but specifically the Dallas Cowboys and how they've shifted gears from how they've done business in the past. Because Jerry Jones, through his own words, likes to stir things up. And the George Pickens, will they, won't they, with the contract negotiation
never happens.
Was an opportunity for him to stir it up and create headlines, and he opted not to do it. And the Dallas Cowboys have been quiet for the most part throughout the course of the offseason and early on in training.
What if the biggest change in Dallas isn't a new scheme, a new coach, or even one massive contract? What if the Cowboys finally figured out that talent means a whole lot more when the right guy walks into the building and changes how everybody around him works? Because when you listen to what people are saying about Quinnen Williams right now, man, this is bigger than sacks and tackles. This sounds like Dallas found a cornerstone. In Cowboys Nation, I'm telling you, that matters. The defense didn't just need another talented player. We've seen talent in Dallas before. What this group needed was somebody offenses can feel every single snap. Somebody who can wreck a run play, collapse the pocket, demand 2 blockers, and then walk back into that locker room with enough credibility that younger guys listen when he talks. That's Quinnen Williams. Stephen Jones basically said it himself. Every time Quinnen lines up, you feel his presence. He's not disappearing for 3 quarters and then showing up on the stat sheet. He impacts the structure of the play. And now Dallas has put real money behind that belief. 3 years, $105.9 million. That is not a we'll see what happens contract. That says you're part of what we're building. And this is where Christian Parker enters the picture. Parker wants a defense that can be multiple, physical, smart, connected. He wants communication, detail, and 11 guys understanding how their job affects the guy beside them. Well, good luck building that without leaders up front. Now look at what Dallas has. Quinnen Williams, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary. Those are grown men who have played real NFL football, and the Cowboys are surrounding a young defense with veterans who know what professional preparation is supposed to look like. That changes a locker room. And from a football standpoint, Quinnen makes everybody's job easier. If you have to double him inside, somebody else gets a matchup. If you don't double him, Dak better get off the practice field because Quinnen is coming through the middle. Run game, he can destroy the timing. Passing game, he can push the pocket directly into the quarterback's face. Edge rushers love that. Linebackers love it too, because when your defensive tackles keep offensive linemen from climbing cleanly to the second level, suddenly those linebackers are running free instead of fighting through 300-pound bodies. That is how one foundational player can make 10 other defenders look faster. And I think there's something else happening here that Cowboys fans should appreciate. Dallas feels quieter. Not boring, quieter. There's a difference. George Pickens handled his franchise tag situation without the endless summer circus we've seen around this franchise before. He signed, the situation became clear, and everybody moved on to football. DallasCowboys.com reported that Pickens is playing 2026 on the 1-year franchise tag, meaning there isn't some unresolved extension negotiation hanging over every practice. That's refreshing, because for years, every Cowboys contract situation felt like it needed its own television series. Now, handle business, get to camp, play football. Come on, Cowboys Nation, we've been asking for this. And maybe that's why this Quinnen Williams deal feels so important. It doesn't feel like Dallas paying somebody just because the deadline forced them into a corner. This feels intentional. They traded for him. They watched what he brought to the defense. They saw his impact in the locker room. They put him on the leadership council, and now they're saying, yeah, this guy is part of the foundation. That's how serious teams operate. Does this guarantee Dallas is suddenly going to have a top 5 defense? Of course not. Christian Parker still has work to do. This unit is changing dramatically, and younger players still have to prove themselves when the games count. But I like the direction a lot. Because you can build around a defensive tackle like Quinnen Williams. You can design pressure around him. You can protect young linebackers with him. You can make life easier for Rashawn Gary because quarterbacks can't simply step forward in the pocket. And when things get ugly in December, you have a veteran in the middle who doesn't need somebody explaining what NFL pressure feels like. That's culture. Not slogans on the wall, not speeches. Players other players respect. And maybe, just maybe, that's why people around Dallas are starting to say something we haven't heard enough lately. Take these Cowboys seriously. I'm not handing out Super Bowl rings in August, no chance. But if Quinnen Williams plays like the foundational piece Dallas believes he is, if Parker gets this defense communicating and attacking together, and if this quieter, more focused version of the organization continues, man, I like where this is going. Cowboys Nation, tell me what you think. Is Quinnen Williams now the true centerpiece of this defense? And do you believe Dallas is finally changing the culture the right way? Drop your take in the comments, hit that like button if you're feeling good about this defense, subscribe to the channel, and stay locked in, because this Cowboys team is giving us some real reasons to believe.